The following podcast contains alcohol-enhanced conversations about alcohol, as well as the potential for the discussion about topics of dubious, disturbing, possibly offensive, but usually hilarious interest. The opinions stated herein are solely of the persons making them, and any endorsement of these opinions by any other party is not implied. Foul language is likely, but intolerant viewpoints are not. Listener intoxication is advised. Hello and welcome to episode 37 of the Whiskey Tangent Podcast. I'm Scott.
I'm Ed.
And tonight we're delving into a category of whiskey that we thought was new to us, but somewhat surprisingly, we've actually tasted on air several times in the past without really getting into what we were actually drinking.
Just on the fringe of it.
Yeah, and that's American Single Malts.
Oh, yeah.
A somewhat undefined and relatively new segment of the U.S. whiskey industry. And joining us in our surprising but not all that surprising foray into the wild west of whiskeys after a long hiatus, our very dear friend, Jeff.
Hello.
And of course, as is customary, Ed's going to get the ball rolling by telling us which 5 American single malts we'll be drinking, evaluating, enjoying, and perhaps mocking tonight.
Right. Thank you, Scott. So we were able to procure a couple of samples, and then we have a couple of full bottles, too. So we're going to start out with the samples. A Westward American Single Malt coming in at 90 proof from the Westward Whiskey Distillery in Portland, Oregon. Colkegan Single Malt, 92 proof. Santa Fe Spirits, once again, from Portland, Oregon. And you'll notice that single malts really started in the western half of the country, Colorado,
Definitely,
and Washington State and Oregon. And now to go completely against that, F.E.W has a single malt, Illinois-based F.E.W Spirits from Evanston, Illinois. So that's our 3 samples we're going to have. So they have just a little kiss, if you will, of them. But then we have a bottle of Stranahan single malt, 94 proof from the Stranahan Distillery in Denver, Colorado. And our friends at Barrell have come up with a American Vatted malt, proofed at 117.5, because Barrel Craft Spirits in Louisville, Kentucky has never found a ceiling to their proof. Like, I think maybe 130 is the...
I think that's the limit. If they could do 160, they would.
I think they're coming out with a 12-year Everclear blend. It's like 187.
I mean, shit, I wouldn't put it past them. Jeff was here for that Barrel episode that we had. I thought it was appropriate to bring him back for this one, since we have Barrel Spirits. Welcome back, Jeff.
Thank you. Did we ever hear from Barrel?
No,
Eva. So if you're listening to this, please respond and give us your comments.
Yes, they were...
If they're good or bad.
Yeah, we had a great episode for them. We love their whiskey. They
were lovely enough to send us those samples via Jeff, and no, we never really heard back.
There's nothing not to like from that episode. We literally enjoyed everything.
Oh, we did. We definitely did. So I'm going to go into just some information about what single malts are.
Sure.
I'm going to save the history for later when we do the other 2 expressions. We're going to do the first 3. We're going to take a break and do the history, and then the second 2. We'll rate them, and then we'll finish out.
Okay.
So just to start out with what malt whiskeys are. In Scotland and Ireland, legally, a malt whiskey is simply a whiskey that's made from 100% malted barley. Very simple. In the United States, legally, it must only be 51% malted barley. A single malt whiskey, the consensus in the world whiskey community is that single malt means that it was produced at a single distillery.
Really?
Yeah. In Scotland and Ireland, legally, a single malt whiskey must be made from 100% malted barley produced at a single distillery in pot stills, that's important, and aged in charred oak barrels for at least 3 years. There's a few others technically, but we'll get to the details in a future Scotch episode. In the United States, there's a consensus that it should follow those Scotch and Irish rules, but there are currently no laws that prevent a distillery in the United States from calling their product a single malt whiskey if what's being produced is at least 51% malted barley. So it doesn't have to be 100%. There's no rules. So the American single malt whiskey, again, while there's general agreement that the whiskey should be produced from 100% malted barley at a single distillery in the United States, there are, again, no laws about single malt. So if a distillery in the U.S. releases a whiskey that was distilled in 2 locations and has a mash bill of 70% malted barley and 30% wheat, they could still, on their label, say American Single Malt whiskey, which to whiskey purists is just a horror show.
So, striving to define American Single Malt, in 2016, 9 craft distillers formed the American Single Malt Whiskey Commission, and they have been striving to get a definition ironed out.
Right.
Which kind of falls in line with what Scott was saying that the rest of the world does. And what the commission proposed, they want 100% malted barley, distilled entirely at one distillery, mashed, distilled, and matured in the U.S., matured in oak casks with a volume no larger than 700 liters, distilled to no more than 80% ABV, and would have to be bottled at least 40% ABV or 80 proof. So the American Single Malt Commission just wants some minimal standards to give them a little more credibility in the world market.
Correct. Like, it's still under review by the TTB, which we mentioned in the sourcing whiskymentary episodes. Yes, exactly. They want a legal definition so that people can't just put American Single Malts on their bottles just willy-nilly.
Yes. So, do you want to taste and then do history, or?
Yeah, let's just taste these 3.
Yeah.
I have some information about all 3 of them.
Closest one is the Westward American Single Malt.
Yes.
From the Westward whiskey. And anything about the Westward, Scott?
Yeah, so as Ed said before, this is a 90 proof. The age is undisclosed. The price is between $65 and $75. The distiller is Westward Whiskey in Portland, Oregon. A quick history. This is from their website. Single Malt Reimagined. Born of the unique culture, climate, and abundant resources of the Northwest, this elevated American original demonstrates our craftsmanship and creativity. Our distinct, rich, and brazen American Single Malt, the pinnacle of whiskey, created from locally malted barley, brewed with ale yeast for exceptional flavor, and matured to perfection in new, lightly charred American oak barrels right here in Oregon, where our hot, dry summers and cool, wet winters are the ideal environment to raise a world-class whiskey.
Yeah, you got to raise your single malts right. Let's smell it. Wow. Sweet. Ooh. So sweet. And
God, sort of buttery almost. This smells amazing. I really like the smell of this.
This is one of the best smelling single. Of course, my single malt smelling is limited, right? Like 3.
It's true. You know, I was going to mention the single malts that we've done previously on the podcast that I said were surprising. We had TrainWreck's Blue Comet Single Malt and a McCarthy's Pot Still Single Malt in cocktails that Honors made on episode
we never tasted them straight,
15, though. Right. We didn't taste those straight, but we did taste the Hillrock Peated Single Malt at a tasting at the lounge that we talked about on episode 19.
Yes.
Then we had the Corsair Triple Smoke. That was an American Single Malt, which we didn't really talk about. Again, that was episode 32. The Lost Lantern, number 1, that was an American Vatted Malt, which is a blend of 6 on the Sourcing Whiskermentary Part 3. And other single malts that we just had, not American ones, but Lagavulin 8, Glenmorangie 10, Bushmills 10, Aberlour, Abuna, Brenne, the Amrut. Like, so single malts abound.
We've done a plethora.
Did you guys taste it?
Yeah, I will. Not yet. No, okay. I will say that I had the Blue Comet last night because I was out doing research and
they're coming to get you, Ed.
Hey, we're recording here.
They do it all the time, and like, where are they going?
It's the whiskey police coming to determine why this smells like crap.
Oh, you don't like it?
It's terrible.
Wow. Oh, I really like the smell of it.
Let's all taste it.
I'm getting a chemical smell. And
all right.
The first thing I thought of was like a decaying, like hay or something like that.
Okay. I mean, okay.
Okay.
That can happen in single malts.
Wow.
Ooh. So
good.
It's good, but like what Jeff was getting on the smell is what I'm getting on the taste. It's very earthy, barnyard and hay, and Jeff is not liking it.
No, the taste is way better.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting like chocolate notes on this.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I get that.
Like dark chocolate notes, like a drying cocoa, maybe, I guess. Like nuts.
Yeah, like an almond or a walnut.
Yeah, not like a peanut.
Not like a walnut.
Yeah, not like a peanut butter kind of flavor, but yeah, this is nice. It's a little drying on the finish. It's very earthy, like soil.
I'll narrow it down to walnut.
Walnut, okay.
That's what I said.
Okay. Yeah, because it's got the character that after you eat walnuts, on your tongue, what is left.
Oh, then my tongue itches. Ever that happen to you when you eat walnuts?
Your tongue itches?
Itchy tongue?
Really? No. Maybe you're allergic.
You ever have your throat close up when you eat a walnut? Anybody?
Yeah, you got to stick a plunger down your throat.
I get tasty notes of death whenever I have walnut.
Yeah, growing up. Oh, here, dear, have some more walnuts.
Did anybody ever see Jesus when they eat walnuts?
Wow.
All right, so let's talk about... I got some tasty notes for him here from Whiskey Jug.
Okay, Whiskey Jug? I had Scotch Noob. Go ahead.
So let's hear what they say.
Yeah.
They say there's a little mesquite smoke to it on the nose.
Okay.
Toffee, orange peels, and a touch of earthy and generic sweetness. The palate, he says there's nothing bad about the Colkegan single malt.
Oh, no, this is Westward.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, no.
Were
you doing the Colkegan?
Yeah, cut that whole thing
Oh,
out.
okay.
Sorry.
All right. So I have the tasting notes from Scotch Noob.
Hey, let's hear what they have to say about the one we're actually drinking.
On the nose, dripping with dense, nougaty, syrupy notes, hazelnut butter, dark roast coffee, amber tree sap, bubbling baked bananas, and coconut cream. So I think the coffee, what he was saying is what we were saying was like sort of cocoa or chocolate.
I'm getting the ripe bananas again from our friend from Brenne.
Brenne. Oh,
Yeah.
Our Brenne friend. On the palate, a moderate tongue burn is followed by wave after wave of baked bananas, heavy caramelized syrups, roasted nuts, and latte.
Oh my God, I gave a girl with tongue burn one time. I was really moving. I had to tell you, I was excited.
Was it a moderate tongue burn?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm not that big. But.
Right, because medium.
Right,
Medium short.
So, yeah, so I gave her quite the tongue burn, though, I'll tell you. She was, she couldn't drink tea for a week, I'm telling you.
Wow. On the finish, medium with a little bitterness to balance out the heavy dark sugars, like black coffee with cream, evolving into mixed nuts before fading sooner than you want, but keeping the complexity throughout.
There we go.
The bitterness at the end. I totally get that. It has this strange astringency. It's not bad. There's nothing bad about it, but it's different. Like American single malts, of course, are going to be different because they're all malted barley. It's not what we're used to drinking. We're used to drinking corn and rye, so you get the sweet and spicy, and this is just a different experience.
Yeah, I'm so salty that I read the wrong tasting notes, so I'm pretty mad. But, I mean, I think we spent enough time on the first one. We got a lot to go through. I don't know how it's going to compare to the other ones. Right now, I give it like a 5.5 or a 6. It's like, all right, it's an average. I give it a 5.
Sure. I won't record it officially yet, but I see
I'm
that's
just saying,
where you're
like,
at.
my goal is like, I mean, it's not below a 5. It's not terrible.
Yeah.
If somebody poured me one of these in a bar, I'd be like, oh, thanks, I'll drink it.
Right.
I wouldn't like, throw it in their face and slap them and storm out. I mean,
I don't know. Maybe you would.
Maybe I would. Wouldn't I? You know, that's one of my dad's first jokes he told me.
What?
A guy with a wooden eye went to a dance. Mm-hmm. And he saw this girl who had some really big ears. And so they started hitting off and they were, talking. And he says, hey, do you like to dance? And she goes, oh, wooden eye. And he went, big ears, big ears, big ears.
Wooden eye.
Yeah, I was like 10. I thought that was a funny ass joke.
It's funny. That's a good one. Wooden eye.
Just the fact that he immediately went, big ears, big ears, big ears.
Okay.
All right.
The second spirit that we have is the Santa Fe Spirits Colkegan Single Malt. This was actually part of the Lost Lantern, interestingly enough. The proof is 92. The age is undisclosed again. The price is a little cheaper than the other one. It's $55 to $65. This distiller is Santa Fe Spirits in Portland, Oregon. The quick history is, like its Scottish single malt cousins, Santa Fe Spirits Colkegan is made entirely from malted barley. Distilled, aged, and finished in various oak casks to enhance the complex flavors inherent to true single malt whiskey. But while peated smoke malt is a key ingredient in many scotches, Colkegan's flavor comes from a different type of smoke malt used by no other distillery in the world. The result is a smooth, mellow, mysteriously balanced hint of smoky complexity unique to Santa Fe Spirits.
Wow, it's definitely...
It smells weird.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting a mesquite smell in the nose.
Yes. Absolutely.
More of a
smoked meat.
More of a barbecue. Yeah. Like rib.
Yeah, definitely.
I've just tasted it. I just don't need the smoke in my life. It's good. It's complex. There's a lot of sweetness forward. I mean, right? It hits sweet, 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 and then a puff of smoke on the end, like the lingering smoke.
Yeah, it's like a sweet smoky bacon.
Eating this with ribs might be spectacular. Mm-hmm. I mean, but by itself as a drink, I just don't need smoke in my whiskey. But I'm grown up enough to recognize this as being a pretty good whiskey and a nice blend of the smoke.
Yeah, given that I was kind of surprised by the smoke, I didn't really know that this was going to be a smoky single malt. We didn't know what these single malts were before we got them. Ed just got these off of Flaviar as bonuses?
Yeah.
Now that I know it's smoky, I actually kind of like it.
It's like a roasted
Yeah.
orange with smoky barbecue sauce that I dislike.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
This is not a bad whiskey. It's well made.
It's not. It's very spicy. I got a lot of spicy notes. You were saying it was sweet, 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 and then the smoke really hits you. I mean, the sweet is really good. That part of it's amazing. It's like a sweet smoked meat.
do you get any citrus?
I don't really.
No.
I don't really get citrus on it.
Do you get some citrus on this?
Yeah.
Do
On
you?
the nose, I get some citrus.
Oh, right. Because you were saying it's like a roasted orange.
Right. So between the first and the second, I of course like the first one better.
Okay, so I'm just going to do the palate because the nose and the finish, we don't need to do that. So I have delicate notes of black pepper, cinnamon, vanilla, almond, light toffee, and a slightly underripe raspberry transition into a firmer mid palate of grass, barbecue, damp pavement, and ash. That's pretty accurate. But again, I still kind of like it.
Right. So going into the F.E.W. single malt, I'm a big fan of their bourbon and their rye. So I'm confident that they've done a decent job here. Let's give them a little bit of this smell.
Yeah, I've had a few of their expressions. It smells like Band-Aids.
It smells like vinyl, Band-Aids, straw, hay,
Grass.
Yep, all that.
and there's some sweetness underneath. Now they're saying I should smell butterscotch fudge, which I don't even know what the fuck that means, and mushrooms. Oh wait, raw sugar and dusty grains. Oh yeah, I love good dust in my whiskey. Dusty grains.
Dusty grains.
Dusty grains.
Friendly neighborhood.
Dusty grains.
Dusty grains.
Look out. Here comes your dusty grains.
Earthy aroma. I'm just getting back into it. A touch of sweetness. There is such a sweetness on the nose. Now, on the taste, barley, hay, raw grains, citrus, and ambiguous sweetness.
Ambiguous sweetness?
Yeah. I'm afraid to taste it. They've got me so psyched out.
You should be, because I have. It's not.
Wow.
It's not good.
It's not thin.
No.
It is 92 proof or so. It's very complex.
Yeah, it's 93 proof.
It smells like sadness, but I can't say it's bad whiskey. It's not my cup of tea.
I can.
But it is the complex concoction.
Jeff, say it.
It's terrible. Again, there's so many better things than this that we've tried.
Right.
And it's a waste of time and money.
Yeah. So the sweetness, Ed, that you said that you were smelling, or you were...
It's on the palate a lot.
Yeah, the sweetness is there way in the back, but it comes out after the grassy barnyard cows and stuff are trampling all over your face.
Yeah, it says barley, alfalfa, hay, raw grains, warm, earthy undertones. I mean, we taste exactly what Whiskey Jug is telling us to taste on this one. And listen, I mean, do you really think there's not people who will love this whiskey?
Oh, no.
I think there's people that will love this whiskey. And that's why I said it's not a bad whiskey, Jeff. It's a terrible whiskey for us. Like, if you brought this like, here, guys, we'd be like, ooh, you just took a dump on the kitchen table. Like, you're not bribing me with this. Like, here, man, hey, take care of my... No, this is not the thing to give me.
No, I get the raw grains, the citrus. There's a little bit of citrus there. Yeah. Mushrooms is such a weird.
Mushrooms don't even smell like anything.
I mean, I guess it smells like earth.
I guess dirt and earth and
fungi.
Yeah,
fungi. How do you say it? Is it fungi or fungi? He's a fun guy.
Yeah.
That's as good as my other joke that I made earlier.
That was better.
That was better.
It's better than few. I've had a few of their products. And that's a terrible joke. I'm not laughing at that. You don't expect me. Come on. You're better than that. I'm not going to give you a pity laugh for few. I mean, you can say it. It's comical. It sits out there like by itself, but I don't like. I'm not going to do that. I'm not.
Well, see, what's going to happen now is I'm going to take that where you laughed like that, and I'm going to put it right after I said. I had a few.
An asshole. You are.
No, I'm the whole ass.
Yeah. No, you're a few. You're a few asses combined together.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
A few of them. See what I did
that
there?
was a terrible joke, Ed. I can't say you're better than that.
Anyway, so I think before we come back with 4 and 5, which we're really excited about, I'm not going to lie, we really didn't care what these three did. These three were extra to the episode, and it gave us some depth of taste, and I'm glad we tasted them, because we're going to come back with number 4 and 5, the Stranahan Single Malt and the Barrell American Vatted Malt, which I'm very excited to taste, because we've had such a great experience with Barrell, even though they don't get back to us anymore. But now, before we go on break, we have an announcement. Jacket time for Jeff.
Jesus Christ.
Jeff is getting his jacket.
On the left lapel, it says Jeff, 5-time host, Whiskey Tangent Podcast.
Wow, it's beautiful.
And on the right lapel, it says
Knight who says neat. That's awesome.
Jeff likes all his whiskey neat, and he loves Monty Python, so
You guys are awesome.
there it is. Look at that.
I feel like I should have brought a pipe with me.
We should all go outside and smoke pipe.
Oh my God, that would be great.
So congratulations, Jeff. You've been with us 5 episodes now, and many shorts as well.
It's so great because I've been friends with Jeff since I was in 8th grade. You were in 6th grade or 9th and 7th, something like that. And we played Dungeons and Dragons together when we were teenagers.
Right.
We had the same girlfriend for a while. That'll come out sometime. Not simultaneously. And the fact that we both really enjoy whiskey in our 50s and we're able to do this podcast together and we're able to present you with this jacket is just a thrill.
Thank you so much. This is wonderful.
It looks amazing on you.
You're welcome.
And so he is our 4th member of the 5 Timers Club.
That's right. That's right.
We couldn't be happier to have him as a part of it.
Yeah. Congrats.
Speech.
It's just a delight to be here. And like Scott said, we've been friends for a long time. And I'm very happy, Ed, that we've connected much closer, other than just getting together to cry over the Eagles. But
and we did that a lot.
yes.
Yeah, I really would only see Jeff at football games. Because we had mutual friends, but we weren't really friends. But I feel like that over the last 2 years, that's changed. So I really appreciate that.
It's true.
While we take pictures of Jeff in his jacket, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with Stranahan's and Barrell American Vatted Malt. All right, so we're back from all trying on Jeff's jacket, and we had a great time. Sue's here, and she's decided to join us for the second half of this episode.
Yay!
Sue was here last. You heard her at the Christmas cocktail episode, number
35.
And she was also on the Christmas Eve short that got ruined.
Yeah, garbled.
So we had to...
Yeah.
So there's like 25 minutes of gold Sue time that's been lost.
That's at least what we're saying.
Lost to history, so we're going to get it back right now.
It's the lost tapes. Right, we sent the master tapes off to the FBI lab in Quantico to see if they can restore it, but
they weren't able to.
They weren't able to.
No.
So, but Sue's, she's joining us, and she's never had single malt whiskey. We're going to bring her in on the Stranahans.
Yeah, I think she was smelling some of them earlier, and she was probably of the same opinion that we were.
Very much so.
Yeah. Right. None of them are really our cup of tea. I'm looking optimistically at the Stranahan.
I am.
And the Barrels never let me down.
Yeah,
I mean, except by not responding to us when we did a great episode for them.
Well, that's true.
And I'm a little bit salty about that. Yeah. But I mean, we literally licked you up and down all of your whole body. I mean,
the anus too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we even
the taint.
tainted all over it.
Everywhere. Feet, it was everything.
Yeah, I taint kidding. We were right there. So we got the Stranahans, and we all have some in our glass, including Sue. I have some on ice. I have some neat. And of course, we know that Jeff only has it neat. Sue has both.
That's true. But before we do, I was going to do a little bit of like a short history about American single malts in general.
Go ahead, Scott. Tell us what we need to know.
One of the early pioneers of American single malt whiskeys was Steve McCarthy, who started Clear Creek Distillery in Portland, Oregon in the 1980s. And over the decade, McCarthy's Oregon single malt whiskey came onto the scene, breaking ground for the American single malt category. That was followed up by St. George's Spirits in Alameda, California in 2000, Stranahan's, which we have right here, we were smelling it, in Denver, Colorado, and 2004, Balcones in Waco, Texas in 2008. So considering those very recent dates, you might wonder why it's taken so damn long for 100% malted barley whiskey to become a thing in the United States, especially given that Americans have been making whiskey in the general sense, mostly rye and bourbon, since the late 1700s,
right? And
that Scotland's been making single malt specifically for centuries, even before that. Well, if you harken back to episode 8, which coincidentally was Jeff's first episode with us,
dun, dun, dun.
Where we talked about the founding fathers and their connection to whiskey, you may recall a man named James Anderson. A successful barley farmer in Scotland, Anderson spent years honing his craft, and in addition to supplying barley to some of the largest Scottish whiskey distilleries, he also owned his own distillery and mill. In the early 1790s, however, Anderson moved to the newly formed United States with his family and was recruited by George Washington to become farm manager at Mount Vernon, Virginia in 1796. James wasted little time before approaching Washington with a plan to open the farm's own whiskey distillery, but there was a problem. Although the hardy rye grain was plentiful and easy to grow, barley struggled in the challenging terrain of the rocky soil at Mount Vernon. And so Anderson was forced to experiment with rye and corn instead, but still incorporating as much barley as he could obtain. In fact, researchers have discovered that Anderson's whiskey mash bill from 1799 was 60% rye, 35% corn, and 5% malted barley, which will be very familiar to any whiskey drinker today, as most American whiskey mash bills read similarly and are likely to contain at least 5% barley. And that's because the malted barley is the one grain that contains high amounts of the crucial enzyme amylase, which is able to break down a grain's sugars that are required for fermentation. And of course, without fermentation, there could be no sweet, sweet juice. Know what I'm saying?
Laid back.
So, coupled with barley's finicky growth requirements, which in turn cause it to be scarce, which in turn cause it to be expensive, the tradition of using it as merely a fermentation accelerator in America held for centuries until the advent of modern technologies, increased education about old world whiskey making traditions, and a renewed willingness of American craft distillers to experiment with different grains, so that the American whiskey industry is finally beginning to focus their attention once more on barley grains and all the delicious, or not so delicious, malt whiskeys they produce.
Yeah, he mentioned McCarthy's, right? Which is one of the originals. And Scott argued with me, like, we got to have McCarthy's on. It's one of the originals.
Right.
And I said, it's not good. And what I mean by that is it's very, very smoky. It's a very traditional peated Scotch type flavor.
Right. And we had 5, and we didn't need a 6th.
And I'm like, we can talk about it. It deserves to be mentioned, as Scott just did. It's one of the founding fathers of American Single Malts.
Yep.
But I'm not going to buy a bottle of something I don't feel like drinking just because it's the most historic one. The Stranahan's is close enough.
Yeah, so there's another reason, and it's a more recent reason why I think there's a growth in the American single malts, is because the Scotch Whisky Association in 2020 said that the exports had decreased to the U.S. by 32%, resulting in $1.5 billion drop in sales, the lowest in a decade, because of 2 reasons: the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the punishing 25% tariffs that the U.S. imposed on single malt Scotch beginning in late 2019. Both of which are now just being eased. But I think in the past year and a half, that's why we're kind of seeing a sort of a surge of this category.
The single malt.
Yeah.
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 So the Stranahan's, let's talk about it on the nose. What are you getting?
I'm getting pineapple, like the peel of a pineapple. When you cut up a pineapple,
oh, wow.
That zest.
Wow, that's really
wow, that's really good. I really like that.
I get fruit sweetness. I didn't think pineapple, but I mean, maybe. I mean, I definitely do smell a sweet fruitiness, Sue.
I was leaning more towards an orange, and then when he said pineapple, I'm like, that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
You know, but I get the pineapple.
That's what I'm getting.
I'm still in whiskey jug, and I get complex dark dessert notes.
In the nose?
Yes.
Wow.
Notes like toffee, caramel, brown sugar, brittle. And brittle, what the, how is it, brittle's a smell?
Peanut brittle.
Yeah, does he mean peanut
It
brittle?
doesn't say that. He says caramel, brown sugar, brittle,
Is
and
there another
butterscotch.
brittle?
That must be what he means.
Well,
because
you can't do that. You can't just say brittle.
well, I guess there's different nut brittles.
I'm not accepting that. I'm not accepting that.
Not accepting it. No,
I'm not
no,
accepting it.
no.
Like what he says. Oh, I mean butterscotch. I'm just gonna say Scotch. So
I'm calling him right now.
Speed dial.
Hello, Mr. Jug.
That's Mr. Judge.
So he does say here that there's sweet, malty, light, nondescript, fruity note in toe, which was kind of falling in with the pineapple, I guess.
Okay.
So then there's a palate coming up. So let's give this. I can't wait to drink this. See, I think this is delicious.
It's sweet and spicy. It's definitely the best of the four that we've had. This blows away the previous three.
I mean, this is really a drinkable whiskey. It's sweet and there's malt. I mean, the malt's there.
It's strong tasting.
Yeah.
The other ones kind of tasted a little weak to me, even though this is only 94 proof and the others were in the low 90s. This has a very strong flavor.
It's weird when you said sweet and spicy.
Yeah.
I got that instantaneously.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I first got the sweet and then I got,
You
it was
really
like
get it together.
Instant together.
Yeah, you do.
I'm going to taste some on the water real quick.
Apparently, this is a blend of 2, 3, and 5 year old. Even though they call it a single malt, it's at the same distillery. They're allowed to blend their own barrels within that distillery. Of course, there's no legal rules, but Scotch does that all the time.
It says here that 100% malted barley, 4 different kinds are used in the mash of different malts. So,
All different barleys. Okay.
yeah, barley's right.
Anybody
Cool.
getting like damp pavement?
That damp pavement. No, I'm not getting damp pavement on this. No.
I'm getting drywall with a Lowe's paint, basically
Like a satin?
emerging satin. Yeah,
Yeah,
a satin
on the
paint
satin
with
side,
a,
yeah.
I'm going to say like midnight blue.
Like dry lock for your basement.
I'm getting some joint compound and some nails.
Stranahan, we're making fun of the reviewers, not you. Your whiskey is fine.
No, the whiskey's great. So,
Oh, yeah.
it's the all Lowe's tasting complex. The joint compound, rusty nails, and I don't know, light bulbs.
Yeah,
What kind of nails? You can't just say nails.
Oh, nickels,
Okay.
nickel nails.
I'm tasting a garage sale sign and a new mailbox.
A new mailbox.
No, honestly, let's get some real tasting notes here. What are you tasting, Jeff?
I'm getting, when I roll it around on my tongue, I'm getting like a maraschino cherry
Are you?
on
Okay.
the back, top of my tongue.
It has such a round character to it that the other ones were sort of lacking for me. Like this has a thick, syrupy mouthfeel.
Yes.
Drink this all night.
Yeah.
This is delicious to me.
So on the Stranahan's website, on the palate, they say, I think this is interesting, and I like the way they phrase the end of this. Cinnamon butter, vanilla, chocolate, warm caramel, spiced pear. Flows over the tongue like table cream and melted brown sugar. Isn't that nice?
They nailed
it's
it
a
at the end there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Delicious.
That's sort of the round, full flavor that I was sort of
Yeah,
tasting.
you can't put it into words, and they just did it.
Yeah, it's really it's really nice. The finish says a hint of cayenne, rich tobacco, oak, and aged leather. There's the leather again. I don't really taste the leather, but I absolutely smell
Well,
it.
I got to go home and lick some leather because how do you reference that? Okay.
You don't have
Ed,
to.
stop
You don't have to go home for that. I got a 40-pound leather jacket right over there.
Oh my God!
It'll
no.
take you all night to
will you
lick my jacket.
Will you be wearing it?
That's all I'll be wearing.
For Sue, it'll be a weighted blanket.
I'm like a weighted blanket. I'm like a death blanket.
It tastes like death and leather.
It's Judas Priest.
Wet blanket.
Hell bent for leather.
So,
Crickets.
no crickets there. That was
Oh,
good.
that was good. Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
leave that.
I've been enjoying it with the globe, and it brings forward more of the sweet.
Oh, okay. In
And
comparison to drinking
yes.
it neat.
Yeah.
I really like it. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad you do, Jeff, because I was hoping you like it, because I do like this a lot. This is my favorite
good, yeah.
single malt, which is like saying my favorite course to jog on is Cooper River Park.
Meaning it was one of the only ones.
Really,
that you-
I don't have a lot of experience, but
But I mean, hey, like I said, we drank a lot of single malts previous to
Yes.
this. We drank 3 earlier tonight.
Yeah,
You drank
yeah.
the Blue Comet
Yeah.
on your own
Last night.
So I mean, you're just as experienced as
the average person.
The average
I think
person.
the average whiskey drinker, probably I'm right there. But if
Yeah.
you're a single malt guy,
Yeah, if you're a Scotch guy, you probably have
And,
already gravitated
you know-
to the American single malts.
and I got to tell you, one thing that is human nature is to just shit on what's popular, right? I think Stranahan's, because they're so popular, there's always someone like, oh yeah, well, a lot of people like Stranahan's. I don't. These are the same guys that don't like Blanton's either.
Right.
Blanton's, oh, I'm not a fan.
I don't get that mentality. Like, if I had liked some niche thing and it became popular, I'd be like, yeah, everyone fucking agrees with me now. I'd be like, yeah, everyone have it. It was great. Unless they drank all of it and I couldn't get it again, then I'd be
And
salty.
that's where I'm at, because when I used to get Henry McKenna tenure for $39, and now it's $79 if I can find it. But that doesn't mean that I'm mad at Henry McKenna for being popular.
Right.
It's not Stranahan's fault that they put out a good whiskey and everyone likes it.
No.
And so I just think people love to be on the next thing. Like they love to be on the newest thing.
Yes.
I remember a guy played me Motley Crue on a cassette tape 3 years before they came out. And when they came out, I'm like, holy shit, there's that band. I heard this song 2 years ago.
Yeah, but then he stopped liking them because you like them.
Right. Oh, now everyone likes them. I'm on to,
I'm on to Pantera. And then when people like them, it's like, oh, I like Sepultura now.
Wow. You have your Heavy Metal Thesaurus out.
Yeah. It's like, oh, and I don't like them. No, I like Voivod.
All right, then fucking, I like Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet's back. All right. Oh, that was nice.
That was good.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue, for backup. Yeah. Thank you. So I actually forgot to do the quick history. I don't know. Do you want to hear it? It's just a paragraph. Born of fire and friendship. This is actually an interesting story. So in 1998, so this is how early it is. So this is pretty early.
Oh, it's the year I got married.
And that went down in flames too.
That's right.
So did mine.
I want to know what love is. Sorry.
I want you to show me. Okay.
It's the Whiskey and Tears show.
Right. Oh, that's right. The divorce led me to whiskey. That's right. Yes. So there is a whiskey connection here.
That's it. In 1998, when volunteer firefighter Jess Graber responded to a neighbor's barn fire down the road, he never imagined what would come of it. The barn Jess made an effort to save, which sounds like the barn burned down.
Good job, Jess. Failure.
He made the effort.
Yeah, he did.
Failure.
E for effort.
Sounds like one of those firebugs that sets his own fire.
Right, I know. Oh, it burned down. Oh, that's a shame. But I jacked off to it. The barn Jess made an effort to save belonged to Woody Creek, Colorado local George Stranahan, a longtime brewery owner and whiskey connoisseur. The two discovered a shared passion for the Colorado outdoors and a proper pour of whiskey
and fire
and a burnt down barn. From this relationship, Stranahan's Colorado whiskey was born.
Mommy, why is that fire?
What is that fireman doing?
Why is that fireman playing with his fire hose?
Oh my God. I just set the podcast on fire and left and jacked off to it.
Yeah, it's hard though. I light a match with one hand, and I'm with the other hand like.
So whose family is going to be suing us? What's his name?
His name is Jess Graber, and his family I'm sure will be sending a cease and desist letter any moment.
Right. There goes our potential sponsorship with another distillery.
Holy crap. I'm so sorry I said that.
And don't forget, Colorado leads the country in mass shootings, so let's not provoke anybody.
Well, we're all the way in New Jersey. We just won't go to Colorado.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like Colorado.
I know, I do too.
Well, I've never been there.
Me neither.
But it seems like a state that I want to go to.
I like it from afar.
And now we can't, Scott. Thanks.
They're crossing the Iowa border right now, coming east to Jersey.
Oh no.
They're sending the Colorado vampires to get us. If you're confused by what that reference is, and listen to the short,
wait a couple of weeks, you'll hear
when
that.
It comes out.
I don't know when that's coming out. All right, so should we pour the barrel? Because I'm really excited for the barrel.
All right, let me gun the rest of this Stranahan's.
So a little bit of information about what we are drinking.
It's very exciting.
This is Barrell's American Vatted Malt. If you listen to episode 31, Jeff is here. We did a bunch of barrel expressions. This is their American Vatted Malt. It is proof 117.5. It's a blend of 6 different distilleries, and I'll list them, whose youngest is 2 years. You can get it for about $80 to $90 about. What did you get it for, Ed?
I think I got it for $79.
$79. These are a blend of 6 from Balcones Distillery in Waco, Texas. Hamilton's Distillers Del Back in Tucson, Arizona. MGP in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Harvest Distillery in Valletie, New York. Santa Fe Distillery in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We had a Santa Fe expression earlier. And Kings County Distillery in Brooklyn. This is from their website. We partnered with small and large producers across the country to select whiskeys that express the full diversity of American terroir and style. The resulting blend is remarkable, and we are proud to be the first to showcase the growing category of American Single Malt in this way. Lost Lantern might have something to say about that. We chose the name American Vatted Malt as an homage to the old Scottish category of vatted malt, which was once the preferred nomenclature to describe a blended whiskey made entirely from single malts. Today, the Scots refer to that style as blended malt, but affection for the term vatted lives on.
The price check, it was actually $87.
Oh, $87. That's right in the range that I had. But if you can get it for $79, steal it. It's yours.
Right. Or if to steal it, just stick it on your pants. Oh my God, is that a barrel vatted American whiskey in your pants, or you're just excited to be here?
Both.
Right. If you have one, you're already excited.
Exactly. I think we all have some neat and some on a globe, except for Jeff, because he's the knight who says neat. He has a jacket to that effect.
Right. It's 100% malted barley mash bill. It's nice orange copper color.
That's an interesting
Yeah, I can't.
smell.
Getting something. I just
Well,
I'm getting buzzed just smelling it.
Scott and I love infinity bottles.
Yeah.
And so a mix of 6 different single malt American whiskeys is going to attract us. Like, we love that. We love blends. We love mixing shit together. And let's be honest, Barrell is a fucking magician, right? They blend better than anybody. Like, they blend whiskeys, like bourbons and ryes together.
I'm getting like a sea spray or like a saline quality to it.
I mean,
I was just going to say
get
salt.
it.
Yeah, it's like a salt.
I know what you're saying. I wouldn't go to the shore, but now you've taken me there. There's a sweetness, though.
Okay. I'm not saying that that's not
So
there.
what do you think the sweetness smells like?
Saltwater taffy.
I like that. I like that. That's such a great...
It's salty. It's
yeah.
sweet.
It's at the shore.
That's
Yeah.
a
There's sea
great...
spray. I can't argue with that.
watch the tram car, please.
Don't say that. Ed had a traumatic experience on the Wildwood Boardwalk when he was 5.
Nothing having to do with a tram car, though.
No, not with the tram
Though,
car.
one time my friend Mike, who's been on the podcast, he
Yes.
flicked a cigarette off the boardwalk, and the wind caught it, curved it around, and dropped it on the lap of a tram car driver.
Oh, no.
And it started swerving all over the road, screaming. Like, we were like 15, 16. I'm like, holy shit, dude, I can't believe you just did that. He's like, what did I do? My back was to them. It was like a perfect hold
It's
on.
the boomerang.
Shit, that's
Yeah,
funny.
hold on.
Boomerang cigarette.
So, are we going to taste it now?
Well, Breaking Bourbon says some licorice, some raisins, and baking spice on the nose. They rest on a bed of malted barley. A hint of smoke is also present. The proof is hidden behind the rich scents, though a trace of ethanol peeks through interestingly and invitingly.
Invitingly.
Hey, I'm alcohol. Want to get drunk? I'm right over here. Come through.
Want to put me in your mouth?
The palate, let's taste it.
I got a sweet apple, not like a cider, but a sweet apple flavor.
I got that too. And yet I don't see it listed in my notes.
Yeah, apple. Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. But that saltiness is still with me. Like, I don't really know how to describe it other than to say that it tastes salty.
I mean, I see what you're saying with the salt.
Okay, I'll give it to you like a watered down salt.
Yeah. No, right. It's not like putting salt on your tongue.
Right. It's not like you're killing a slug.
This tastes like dead slugs. So good.
I can't see why.
A wet
I can't
one.
see why Barrell hasn't gotten back to us. Your whiskey tastes like dead slugs.
This is a strange whiskey.
Wait, it's got 6 different whiskeys in it. I think that's a big part of it.
It is. Like, this is different than any of the whiskeys that we tasted tonight.
I get butterscotch.
Okay.
I
Yes.
get.
Did you put water on it?
No, that's what I get neat.
Okay.
I did put one on. Hold on. Let's see if I still taste butter.
No, I have it on ice, and yes, butterscotch.
Butterscotch is big for me. That's my number one taste.
Yeah.
It says here tobacco leaves or chocolate could be present.
There is a little bit of smoke on the finish. I'm
Yes.
tasting. Just a whiff. Just a nice.
And what the notes say, a smoky element further complements the flavor at the end.
Okay. On some water, I am getting more of the sweet that you guys were tasting. I was not tasting the sweet on the neat. Like, just that saline quality was getting in the way of it. But now I taste it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Jeff should be the brand ambassador for Barrell because
should.
they've never seen a fucking whiskey that they want under 110.
And Jeff won't drink under
right.
110.
So Jeff is like, he's a perfect fucking brand ambassador for them. They could go hand in hand, like skipping down the road because Barrell Spirits, if you don't love us, who are you going to love? We love you.
No, we love you.
We're
we
like
love
practically stalkers, like Barrel Spirits. Look out your window right now, and I'm like, I'm in the bushes 6 feet away. Like, hey, you have any whiskey? I'm like stalking Barrel Spirits. Right
Yeah, that's us pouring through your garbage cans.
right.
Yeah, we're like raccoons.
Right. Are you going to drink any of this? Are you drinking this?
Right, they come outside, we're like, oop.
Okay. So on the finish, it says here, since spice pops first in a long finish with raisins and anise lingering after the initial spike, by comparison, the finish is less complex than the palate, but still enjoyable overall. Well, I have to tell you, the Stranahan's was probably the best tasting pure whiskey by itself tonight. This is a blend of 6 other whiskeys. I've never had anything like this. And I think Barrell loves to hear me say that because they love to put shit together that make people go, what the hell am I drinking?
But that's why I think they can justify their higher price. They can charge between 80 and 90 because they are serving up a really strong, tasteful product every single time.
Right.
As we said on the episode, you might not like everything, but they have something that you will like. They're just amazing. I will agree with you that I like the Stranahans better than this one.
Let me ask Jeff. Jeff, what do you think about this? I've talked a lot.
I mean, I loved it. I'm sure I'll buy it, take a picture of it.
Really? Did you like it better than the Stranahans?
Yes. Especially the cherry flavor to it that I'm getting.
You're getting a cherry flavor now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll have to go back to it.
I got the strong, the anise, the
The anise? The black licorice kind of flavor?
the black licorice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, like I didn't get it at first
Do you
until he
like
said it.
Do you
and
like
then-
the taste of anise on your lips?
Wow.
I love what I bring to this.
You bring inappropriateness, but not from you.
Pretty much, yes.
Basically
I just
from Ed.
float up the balloon, and you guys just,
Pop it.
Pulverize it.
So anyway, what I was going to ask Sue, because you only tasted 2 of these, we're going to rate them, me, Jeff, and Ed.
Yeah.
But which one did you like better, the Stranahans or the one we just tasted, the Barrel?
The Stranahan.
The Stranahans,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I think we're all agreeing, said Jeff.
I think it's a pure...
It is. I think the Stranahans is what an American single malt should taste like, what it seems like to me.
But Barrel, that's why they call it a vatted American malt. Like,
Yeah, like
they
they're-
know what they did.
They aimed for this taste.
Yes.
Like they literally blended these together to get the taste that's in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that they tell us where they got it, which Lost Lantern did too.
Yeah, they did. And that's the transparency in the industry that we're seeing now more and more that we talked about on our sourcing whiskey entries.
Well, when we go west to Kentucky, when this COVID ends, I say we stake out their distillery first.
And we're going to record an episode of Bullet because they invited us to do it.
We did. I don't know if they remember that, but we're going to remind them. We're going to show up with equipment and say, yo, man, where do we set up? All right, so let's rate the whiskeys and then finish up. This has been a very long recording. We're at an hour and 23 minutes.
Oh, we're fine. It's going to be it'll be 40 minutes when you're
It'll be 12 minutes long. It'll be short, actually.
3 minutes.
Whiskey. Jacket, Sue. Whiskey.
That's it. That's going to be my write-up. All right, so the first one we tasted, the Westward American Single Malt. Ed, what did you give it?
7.
I'm going to give that a 6.
You're
Jeff,
wrong.
what
I
do you
give
got?
it a 5.
Wrong.
5. All right, the Colkegan. Ed,
I'm going to give that a 5.
you're going to give that a 5. I will also give that a 5. Jeff.
3.
3. Ooh. The F.E.W, the third one we drank. Ed?
6.
Yeah, I didn't really like it that much. I'm going to give it a 3. Jeff?
2.
2. Okay, the Stranahans. Ed?
9.
9. I'm also giving it a 9. Jeff?
7.
7. And the Barrel. Ed?
I'm going to give that a 9.
Oh, I'm going to give it an 8. And Jeff?
7.
Also a 7. So the winner is... Stranahans. And Stranahans, then Barrel, then Westward, then Colkegan, and the F.E.W came in last.
Which was, I think everyone's okay with.
Yeah, I mean, so that's it. Anybody else have anything to add on this American single malt whiskey evening?
Sue?
No.
Good choice.
I would like to say that I'm very pleased to have Sue with us tonight. We had
always
haven't seen her
enjoyable.
4 months, and I can't believe 4 months have gone by. And thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. It's always good to be here.
And Jeff, congratulations on your jacket.
Yes.
You've been a tremendous supporter of our podcast and great friends to Scott and I.
Yes.
And the thing is, when time goes by that Jeff isn't here, I think that it hurts the podcast because Jeff adds stuff that only Jeff adds. He's a
very
unique
nice.
person.
It's very vague.
It is. It is vague. It's safe.
Shade.
Jeff adds only what Jeff can add.
And Jeff's like, that's very nice. And Sue's like, no, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, thanks a lot. I think.
Jeff is very Jeff-like, I find, and full of Jeffness.
And so Jeffy.
It's great because when Jeff's not here, we have no Jeffness at all. And now
That's
with
true.
Jeff,
And now with Jeff, there's so much Jeffness.
right.
Well, it's
So-
a pleasure being on the podcast. I haven't been here in a while. I miss it when I'm not on it.
Yes.
And it's just a testament to your, I can't think of the word.
Scottness.
Your Scottness and Edness, Skedness.
Our skedness. Which sounds gross, actually.
It's like I got skedness on my leg. I gotta get it like a cream or something.
This is a wonderful night. I got a fucking kick-ass jacket.
Yeah.
I'm getting complimented left and right.
Yeah.
We're gonna send you home with some of that barrel and some in a bottle so you can have some.
Wonderful.
So for the Whiskey Tangent podcast, if you've never tried an American Single Malt, I suggest Stranahan's first.
Yes.
But if you like high proof, then the Barrell Vatted American Malt won't hurt you. And hit Lost Lantern's website.
Oh, yeah.
They do great stuff too. And if you're in New Jersey, Blue Comet by TrainWreck is great too.
Sure.
So for the Whiskey Tangent podcast, I'm Ed.
No, I'm Scott.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Sue.
And thanks so much for listening. Couldn't be happier to have you with us.
Cheers, everyone.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode, be sure to check out our next episode, which is way better than this one.
Oh, yeah.
Also, follow and like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Whiskey Tangent. And follow us on Twitter at Whiskey Tangent. You can follow me personally at That Whiskey Guy. And follow Scott at Giant Cup of Awesome, spelled AWSUM, just to be annoying.
Hey.
You can email us any questions, comments, or love at whiskeytangent@gmail.com. And of course, you can find us always at our podcast website, whiskeytangent.podbean.com.